Hello and welcome to the Only Accies channel. It's finished here. Hamilton 3, St Johnstone 5 in what was a game full of goals, but ultimately a very disappointing result. Our first fan today is Tatty, Neil Graham. Neil, how are you? What did you think of the performance today?
I'm good, Brennan. It's nice to talk to you. It's been a wee while. What a strange, bizarre game. I was absolutely deflated after half an hour. And to see Thames going off, I think probably that's his first thing. Obviously
Yep.
Thames' injury is a real worry. But I just felt, it was so that first goal after however many seconds was 58 seconds, and going down the wing, I think it was Hodgson that just didn't get in with the block. And it was just everything that we've witnessed this season in terms of league games. Just not having switching on, not having the right mentality, not having the right psychology. I think there's a psychological issue in that squad, and I think, unfortunately, when you're rated to the bottom of the league and when you've not done the recruitment in the summer that we need to do, you have to shake it up somehow. There needs to be some kind of change in that dressing room now. I'm sure that if we were at Douglas Park, our supporters would be going absolutely mental.
Yep.
But I also think if we'd been at the game today, it might have made a difference.
Yeah.
Because I think that, when it went 3-2, the crowd would get right behind the team. So I think, you feel for them to some extent. But I think my main concern is just around the deficiencies. That we're not quick enough, we're not fast enough. But it's odd substitutions as well. I felt Ben Sterling coming on. What was that adding to the game? But by that stage, I think sometimes Rice makes substitutions when you just think that's him admitting that the game's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But the bizarre thing was today, I actually felt that, when I saw Hughes coming on, I kind of was just like, oh dear, oh no, why?
Yeah.
But I actually thought that was probably one of his best games in Accies. My main concern really with the Accies team this season is that we do not have a midfield. And I think that's really the big issue. In the middle of the park, we just don't have enough steel. Since losing Godzic, it's just we've really missed him, and we don't have enough steel in the middle of that park. So I fear for us at the moment, Ben. I really do, and I think that that there are huge questions around Rice's future in my view.
And what do you make of the whole? Obviously, you're very vocal on social media, as we all are, and currently. What did you make of Rice's comments a few weeks ago, and the last week it would have been now, about keyboard warriors, etc., etc.? What, as a fan who's, I don't know how long you've been going to Accies, but hell of a lot longer than I've been alive. How does it feel to see your manager calling out fans for giving their opinion?
I thought it was ill informed. I just don't think it was very wise. I think it's reasonable and fair sometimes to say that you need to be. There's a very fine line between. I thought you guys actually on the preview of the game last week called it really well. There's a very fine line between being abusive and being genuinely critical. But I do think that I see one of my pals who just tweeted today. I think Craig's just put a retweet basically saying you need to listen to supporters.
Yeah.
We're not in the ground, so the only way that we can comment is by doing this kind of stuff and by going onto Twitter and tweeting. But I think as long as you do that in a way that's respectful, and you call it out. Sometimes you have to have a little bit of humour in there to just try and lighten the situation. But I think that wasn't a smart move from Rice. I don't think. I think that just showed that the guy didn't really think that went through. He's obviously hurting after the Annan result. But I think for me the big thing today is that we've conceded 5 goals to a team that had only scored 4 goals in the league up until now.
Yeah. I absolutely agree when you talked about earlier about the mentality, because when we scored our third and it was 4-3, you're thinking we could even go and snatch an equaliser here, but then they go straight up the park and score a fifth. So
to be very fair, I thought that at that stage in the game, Accies looked. I was actually quite enjoying the game, and I felt for the first time in a long time in a league game, it felt there was a bit of fight there, and they were actually trying to. We were playing some reasonable stuff, but again, it's just. Sometimes in football you just need luck to go your way, but I don't think that's really what the issue is with this team at the moment. We've got endemic issues that are needing to be resolved, that need to be nipped in the bud, and we need somebody who's actually going to get the best out of this team. And at the moment, it just doesn't feel like Brian Rice is the guy to do that, in my view. And I feel sorry saying that. I genuinely, honestly feel sad saying that. I don't like coming out and calling for a manager to go. It's really not something that I'm fond of doing, which I think resonates with a lot of the things that you guys were saying last week as well. But I haven't seen anything that gives me great confidence about how this season's going to pick up. I think just in terms of the people that I correspond with on in private WhatsApp groups, we're all just really disappointed. Really quite. The reflection on today's game was that we were reflecting back to season 2012 when we went down with guys in the team who just didn't have enough bottle, and that's how it feels at the moment. It feels like we don't have enough bottle. So if people felt that, I think the thing about Brian Rice's comments the other week was that he basically said that people should go to his door. What I do think he should be saying is give us your phone number, or let's get a Zoom call, get everybody onto Zoom so that we can ask him questions. But you can't come out and make a statement like that and continue to get beat. If you're going to make a statement like that, you've got to show that you've got the medal. And that's really, if we don't beat St Mirren next week, for me, his jacket is on a sugary nail. And if we don't win that game next Saturday, I think, patience is already gone. To go down to Annan and get beat really was, it boiled over at that point. And it did. It was a strong reaction. But if you're consistently making the same mistakes over and over and over again, the buck only stops at one place, and that is at the manager's door. He was right about that. So it's time for them to start giving some fair and reasonable answers, not for them to get defensive. They need to set out why the situation is as bad as it is, and they need to start respecting the supporters. So
there you go, Neil. That's fantastic. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, thank you, man. Cheers, pal. And as always, our second fan is Brandon. What did you make of that game today? Because it was a weird one. You very rarely, I don't want to sound like Brian Rice, but scoring 3 goals at home, you expect to win. It's not going that way. What did you make of today?
Well, St Johnstone before this game had scored 4 goals in the league all season. They've just scored more in one game away from home than they have all season, which sums it up perfectly. Any manager that gets beat 5-0 at home off a team in your own league, questions undoubtedly need to be asked again. Games, if this was just a random result and results were sort of going our way and this happened, there'd be questions asked about Rice. So with the circumstances already in place, it just adds fuel to the fire, and I just can't see any really way back for him. Performance once again start off absolutely horrendous. Management needs to be asked there what's getting said to the players. Why are we not starting a game? 3-0 after 20 minutes, and I said at half time it'll be crucial what the manager says to them now, because we just need to keep going to them. There's no point in sitting off them. Just keep on going, get them when they're a bit deflated. And I kind of think we did do that, but Brian what Rice said was kind of contradicts that. Rice says that we had to wait 5 minutes to ensure we're still in the game. No, you don't. You just keep going at them. So if he's telling his players to wait 5 minutes, that's complete bullshit. As a manager, when you're on the front foot, you need to keep hitting them, and that's what we were doing the second half. We weren't really showing much up front, which is why we didn't hit them as hard as we should have and get that equaliser. I think Augie was non-existent apart from his goal. He's got a goal. It's a brilliant ball in again for McMahon. But I think if we had made it offer up front, then we would have got that equaliser. Then when they've scored their next one, that's just game, set and match for me. I know we've obviously got another one back, and then Conway scored. And temps has went off. I think Ewan and me talked about it in the podcast. I know, yes, Ronan Hughes came on and scored 2 goals, but we've got no plan B when temps isn't there, and that's been shown today. I think everybody was bemused by that sub. Fair enough, he's came on, he scored 2 goals, but I think we're all fucking as gobsmacked by that as anything. I think about 5 or 6 players were all not playing in their comfortable positions today. And and I don't think Brian Rice knows what their comfortable position is, to be honest with you. We're still playing the hoofball pitch. There's no creativity. We've not got any plan B. And it just keeps happening. We need some sort of creativity. It's 4 years ago. Was it 4 years ago today? We beat Aberdeen 3-0.
Yeah.
That honestly, see the night and day comparison. Just the total mentality of just try. I don't know. See if we're bottom of the league and we're having a fight and we're trying to do something. We're trying to produce a certain style of football. I think fans would be a bit more appreciative than that. But see the fact that we're bottom of the league, we're not creating anything, we're hoofball pitching it all the time, all our goals are coming from set pieces, majority of them. It doesn't look good at all. St Johnstone scored 4 goals all season, and they come here to us and score 5. That's 12 goals in the last 4. And 2 of our opposition have been lower league opposition. Not acceptable at all.
No.
I think he needs to go. I think with his interview last week, he's not helped himself at all. He's added more fuel to the fans. I think quite a lot of people were still sticking with him despite the Annan result, but then to come out and say that after air, and then that result there, I think he's just completely lost everyone. Judging by social media reaction, the keyboard warriors, which is our only way of voicing our opinion just now because we're not allowed at games. I think he's lost everyone, and that includes the players. So,
I mean, what Neil said, I know you didn't hear it, but what Neil's just said before you was pretty much spot on, and pretty much in line with what you just said. He can't label us keyboard warriors if this is the only way we have to voice an opinion right now. We can't. The only
reason he's done that is to deflect himself away from the absolute horrendous performance that have been happening of recently. He sort of used that air result, which was we didn't deserve to. It was a sneaky 2-1 win. He used that as a sort of scapegoat again to deflect it away for that performance with his post-match interview. It could have been double, mate. St Johnstone had 20 odd shots.
Aye, it is ridiculous, and I do agree with you.
A team that's the team that scored the 4 league goals all season, to come score 5 goals and have 20 plus shots against you is, he's lost it, mate. He needs to go. Simple as that. I was all for him until he done that interview. That Annan result, I started asking questions. He done that interview. He completely lost all my respect. I think he's lost everybody's respect. And a change needs to be made before it goes too late, because we're going to end up just 100% going down the way it's going. We're not looking like anything. We need to bring in players as well, but it's just a bit Oscar now, mate.
And Brandon, we've just saw that Aki's did release an interview with Brian Rice after the game. I do, just before I get your thoughts, want to read one tweet out under this video from Craig Rankin, who said, "No one could say we deserved to be 3-0 down. Did I hear that right? Was he watching the same game? No one could say we deserved to go in at half-time. Only 1 down would be a more accurate depiction. All for being positive, but there was zero acknowledgement of poor performance there." What did you make of what Brian Rice had to say?
It's a scripted interview once again with Marcus and Brian. It's clearly pre-planned. I think me and you could both guess that the questions were coming. Could 100% tell the whole 3 goals at home sort of point was going to get made. I could tell there's going to be a point about Ronan Hughes coming in and showing his worth. How we can say we don't deserve to be 3-0 down? We did deserve to be 3-0 down. That game could have been 10-3. He's lost it, man. He's really lost it. He's not really helping himself at all. Still with the sort of interviews and the questions are getting made to be asked, but it's just deflating, mate. It's really deflating.
I do want to read a few tweets out. We've started to try and involve as much fan opinion as we can. So a few tweets coming out. Ian FC on Twitter said, disgraceful performance. We lost the game on the first 20 minutes again. Won't be watching on Tuesday unless that clown has finally realised that he's not good enough for the club. The only way we're getting points is if St Mirren have to forfeit again. Stephen said, Rice out, fucking embarrassing, conceding 5 goals to the worst team in the league. Defence is shockingly shit, can't wait to be relegated by Christmas. Colin Stewart is asking for Boozy to go as well. He's got shoulder to blame, he should have left when Canning did. AMD Red and White 1874 said, why can't we motivate a team to start at the first minute, or why he thinks a poor team can have 2 strikers, or why his signing policy has a young left back playing at right midfield. And I mean, you can see, if you go obviously yourself on Twitter, you'll see it. William Donaghy said, I'm trying to think of something positive to say. At least it was only 5, it should have been more. You can see where Aki's fans are at the moment. It's not good, and you can see that Rice has lost, I'd say, every fan. I can't find a positive note to say, even somebody backing him. Another tweet from Craig Rankin said, as you can see here, there are many keyboard warriors, myself included, therefore I'm sure some form of online Q&A with Mr. Rice won't be necessary. On a serious note though, 12 goals conceded in our last 4, 2 of which were to lower league, simply isn't good enough. What do you make of those tweets? By them? I'm assuming you agree with all of them.
No, they're all keyboard warriors. Like I say, it's our only way to voice our opinions.
Yeah. I do want to read just a few responses to Brian Rice's interview. Adam Donaghy said, no acknowledgement of the performance was poor, instead highlighting we scored 3 at home, even though we conceded 5 to a team who haven't scored in their last 4, so that was obviously following on from what we said. William Donaghy said, no too many folk want to jump off the boat, very good Brian. Hundreds of folk sank while on board the Titanic, same rules are applying here. John Patterson said, another embarrassing interview and total denial at how inept we are in every department. Just go now, Brian, you've probably done irreparable damage as it stands. Nobody has any faith left in your abilities. And again, highlighting what you were talking about earlier on, Stephen said, poor start for some reason, just going for some of the obvious choices. He's had a left back playing right mid, a striker playing left mid, not enough experience, not enough creative players, hoofball tactics, and a lack of physicality in the middle. It's a bewildering interview to have after, and like we said, we understand that as a club TV they need to be positive, but highlighting the fact we scored 3 at home but still lost to bottom of the table 5-3 is missing the point, surely missing the boat entirely.
A big thing that stands out for me with all this is the fact that any time certain people used to criticise Cannon, there'd be a massive amount of support that would jump down your throat because you were giving Cannon criticism. These people that used to do that are all on the get Rice out, which is mental to me, because they're the most positive people in their support you could ever see, but yet they're actually on the sort of Rice out sort of side. These are all Rice's players as well. I think that's what you need to remember. Rice has brought in majority of these players. He's deflecting everything away from all the sort of negativity and trying to put any positivity into it at all, when really he's just been in denial. We're going round in circles and we're repeating ourselves, mate, but something needs to be changed before we end up like a Titanic.
And that does bring us to the end of our reaction video of Hamilton 3, St Johnstone 5. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy, go ahead and hit the like button down below and leave in the comments your thoughts on the game, or of course jump over to our social medias, all of which are linked in the description. A big thank you to Tati or Neil Graham for joining us on this video. And remember, if you watch this and you want to be involved in an Only Aki's video, just message us, comment down below, and we'll be in touch. We want to get as many fan opinions as possible. That's why we read out the tweets and stuff like that as well, because it's not just our opinions that matter, it's everybody out there, and we want everyone to voice them. So once again, thank you for watching. Check out our socials linked in the description, and hopefully you have a better week than Aki's did.